Shalom, and welcome back to Bnei Noach Academy, Thoughts on the Torah. Please remember to hit the like button, to subscribe, and most importantly, to share this insight and inspiration with friends and family. So the book of Bamidbar, which is known as the Book of Numbers, or in Talmudical sources, it's called the Chumash HaPikudim, the book of census, of counting, has many times the counting of the children of Israel. Well, if you look in the first several chapters, first God instructs to count all the tribes, and then individually to count the tribe of Levi, the Levites, and they were counted differently. If you look at the source, you'll see that the Jewish men were the ones that were counted exclusively, and only from the age of, quote, 20 and above. Whereas the Levites were all counted literally from birth. It's just technically they were counted from 30 days old, meaning, according to Jewish law, up to 30 days, there is somewhat of an uncertainty if this child is going to survive medically. And therefore, should or should not go into the census, and therefore God instructs to count them from 30 days and above. But really, practically speaking, it's from birth. So again, the 12 tribes of Israel were counted from 20 years old and above, whereas the Levites were counted from birth, from age 0 and above. Yet, when you look at the total tally, at the census, you will notice that even the smallest of the tribes, and again, counted from the age of 20, has a much larger number than the Levites who were counted from age 0. In other words, the Levites were the tiniest, were the smallest of all the tribes. And the question is why? What is it about the Levites that they were the smallest? Did they not reproduce? Did they somewhat have an issue with their being fruitful and multiplying? Or perhaps they were multiplying at a normal rate, whereas the other tribes multiplied at an abnormal or supernatural rate, and therefore they were more. Well, the answer lies all the way back in the book of Exodus. If you look in the book of Exodus, chapter 1, verse 12, and there it describes how the Egyptians made the decision and they made a concentrated effort to oppress the Jewish people, to see to it that their numbers stagger, that they don't grow. And what does God say? What does he tell us? V'chasher ya'anu oto. And as they oppressed them, so they increased more and they spread more. So the more they oppressed them, the more they increased. The more they impressed them, the more they spread. Now, it's interesting, if we know the history, the tribe of Levi, the Levites, never were oppressed on the same level that the rest of the brethren was oppressed. Meaning, when it came to the hard back-breaking labor, the Levi tribe, for good reason, by the way, was never, ever inducted into that. They were never, ever fooled or pulled into it, whereas all the other tribes were. And this explains, by the way, how Moshe and Aaron are able to freely and easily come to the palace of the king. So it's true that because they were so virtuous, they never fell for this trap. They never fell. They were never fooled by the seduction of the Egyptians, and therefore they never, ever were enslaved on that level, on that rate that the rest of the brethren were. Yes, they were stuck in Egypt, but they weren't enslaved, and they weren't tortured with all that back-breaking labor. But at the same time, they also did not benefit from that exceptional blessing of exceeding growth, of supernatural reproduction, supernaturally being fruitful, as a result, as the verse says, because they were oppressed. So this teaches us something. Apply it to our lives. Sometimes we have pain. And the pain does hurt. The pain is difficult. Pain doesn't always necessarily mean, God forbid, agony or physical pain. But pain could mean when we're trying to work on something and we have to put in all the effort and the time and the sleepless hours and so on. That is a form of pain. It is difficult. But how this adage goes, no pain, no gain. And this is where we see it from. It's true, sometimes someone has no pain because they're just brilliant. They don't have to work hard on the material. Someone doesn't have pain because they have resources that are not available to your average person. So they're able to start a business. They're able to get into a new endeavor without any worries, without any whatsoever second thought. There's no pain, but there's also no gain like there is for the person that does have that pain. So never shun the challenge, never shun the difficulties. Yes, again, we don't invite it, we don't ask for it, but when it's there, we should appreciate the fact that that is what perhaps will bring us the greater blessing, and sometimes even in a very supernatural manner.